Hi, GJ. Welcome back.
Hi, Brian.
So we've just been talking for the last few minutes about how to disengage beta, kind of how it works a little bit. And we're going to navigate over to Cub Foods nearby.
Yep.
And see how it does. And have you ever used beta before or ridden with anyone with it?
Extremely briefly for a couple of minutes with one of the Tesla people.
Okay.
A couple of years ago.
So
I don't even think it was this. I think it was probably an earlier version.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. So we're going to get out of your driveway here and take this for a spin.
Okay.
And like I said earlier, take over anytime you're uncomfortable with how anything's going. Feel free to hit the brake, disengage, or halfway there say, hell no, I'm not doing this, and get out and run away. No.
Sounds good.
But whatever you're comfortable with, and let's take off.
All right, sounds good.
And
is it like that?
Yep.
Okay. So with this video, you're going to have several of us?
Yeah.
Like Ellie and...
You and Ellie and Daniel. So
okay.
A variety of personality types. And but you and Danny, I don't think I've ever used it. So
no.
And Ellie's only ridden with me using it. So if you want to turn it on here, you can.
Okay, so just double?
Yep, double tap. Okay, and now...
Keep your hand on the wheel?
Yep.
All right.
And I just kind of let it slide under my hand and
okay.
See how that's going.
It can see over that way?
Yep.
Oh, I see. It's creeping out now.
Yep. And that blue line that was on there, that shows you how far it's going to creep.
Okay.
And so, like, coming up onto a road here with faster traffic, it might put that blue line out there, and you might say, nope, that's farther than I want it to creep. And at that point, you know, feel free to hit the brake and say, nope, we're not going out that far. And even though it technically might be, you know, a safe distance, it might be
just kind of rolled.
Yeah. Oops. Oh, and now it's,
there we go.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So I thought that was a different lane, I guess. So there is goofy stuff like that.
Yeah, because there was some, it was like a dotted line over there. Yeah. Boy, I'd like to get up to speed pretty quickly, huh?
Yeah. Okay, so now you're getting so just give the wheel a little tension. Yep. Okay.
So I'm noticing it's going over the speed limit here.
That is because I forgot to change that for you.
Oh, okay.
When we get to, you can roll that back on here.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see. You have the max. Okay.
Yeah. I have an offset set so that it'll usually go more with the flow of traffic than, but in town, that's not always the best option.
Okay, now we're coming up on a turn. Okay. I mean, it started slowing down around the time I likely would have. Let's see what it does here. Okay, it's
so
not making that turn.
Yeah, I would have just given it a little encouragement with the accelerator there. Okay.
Especially with the Jeep behind us.
Yeah.
Now this is a trick. This can be a tricky road here, so.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, most of my interventions are kind of courtesy interventions where let's not confuse that driver. Let's just
yeah.
Steering wheel just a little pressure.
Oh, I see. That's what the blue is there. Yep. Okay.
So when we get to our first stop here, I'll change the offset so it's not going too fast.
Okay. Oops. Okay. So I'm going to help it out a bit.
Yep.
Oops. Okay, now I'm going to take it out since we're in the parking lot here.
Yeah, it doesn't do great. Like, it'll take you into a parking lot, but not necessarily get you to parking. So.
Okay.
All right. First impressions? Terrifying?
Actually not terrifying. If anything, I probably, like you said, I probably should have intervened a little more. I was kind of letting it do its thing.
Mhm.
This is a route I'm very familiar with. You know, you asked me to take us somewhere I go regularly, and so probably go here every once or twice a week. So that part was probably the most encouraging, since I knew the route and I kind of knew what I would usually do. I just kind of let the car do its thing. I'd say those couple of turns when the Jeep was there and the turn into this parking lot were the two that I felt like I really probably should have intervened. And I did on the second one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of, it does some things really well, and then you get a sense of, oh, I might not do this well. I'm going to just, like I said, accelerate, or just, you know, no, I'm doing this turn myself, and then
Yeah.
get back in.
I'm also remembering when we went out to the first kind of main road, like out of my neighborhood, the first main road, the car not only creeped, but it kind of kept going. And as a car was coming across, I likely, that made me a little nervous, I guess.
Okay.
I likely would have wanted the car to hang back a bit more.
Yep. Yeah, and that leaving your place last time I was here, it did the same thing where it just kind of crept out a little far for my taste, and I was like, nope, nope, hitting the brake. But
no, but that's pretty cool.
So let's try a different spot and see where it'll take us.
Okay. Okay. How much should I be gripping the steering wheel?
I kind of do what you're doing now, just kind of
like
have hand over it, and then, you know, tighten my grip when I get the reminder, and then, you know, then you're okay. I give it a little, a little accelerator there.
Well, I guess I got a
yeah, we got the honk.
Got the honk. The wheel, the car felt hesitant on that turn.
Yeah, so definitely in a situation like that where you have an impatient person in front of you, I'll either hit the accelerator, or behind you, I'll hit the accelerator, or if it does something weird for one intersection, I won't let it do something weird for the next one. You know, like, it's like, okay, I'm not gonna make your trip terrible. I'm just gonna, you know, either take over or, you know, be a little, you know, monitor a little closely. Maybe,
yeah, so I do want it to slow down here.
You know, so
what do I do? Roll that back?
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. So this is...
Maybe I didn't save that offset thing.
Oops.
Oh, you're out of.
Oh, am I out of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So hit it again?
Yep. Yeah, so you must have tapped the brake or something.
Oh, I see.
That takes it out. Yeah, there's some subtle stuff where it does take a little getting used to.
Yeah, I would say at that intersection, the car probably braked a little later than I would have. Or I would have like left my foot off the accelerator, right, and let the car itself just start drifting.
Yeah.
So this is interesting how it's going to take this here with a slower car ahead of us.
Yeah, it's been pretty good with truck.
Oh, and it's going to turn, okay. Or not turn, I mean switch lanes. So the car did that on its own. Switch lanes. Turned on the signal. All right, Brian, here's the big roundabout.
We'll see. It's been better with roundabouts lately, but sometimes it will come to a stop when it doesn't need to. So again, you know, having that.
Yeah. Oops. Okay.
Okay. Now you're steering.
Now I'm steering. Yeah. So I'm going to. It was going toward the other car, so I tried to pull it back.
Yep. Yeah, and that's where, you know, if you watch a bunch of videos, which I
Oh wait, did I engage it or
nope,
not?
not yet. You'll see that blue line.
Okay, that blue line.
Some people's like beta testing videos, they just let the car do whatever, regardless of what's going on around them. And I'm very much more like, do what you're comfortable with, or, you know, what I'm I'm comfortable with when I'm driving. And then,
Okay, that was the car.
That was an early stop.
Does it? No, it's a, okay, there we go.
It will, if it's waiting for a car or a person or something, they'll show up blue. The other vehicle or person will show up blue. So that's kind of how you can tell. Does it know it's its turn, or is it, who's it waiting for? That kind of
thing. Okay, so yeah, it saw that car and slowed down a little bit.
Probably didn't need to, but it's probably good to be cautious too. That's kind of always tough. It's like, I don't know that I would have slowed down, but I don't know if I'd fault it for wanting to do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Wonder if it, we were a little far away to see if it caught that person that just crossed the street. Oh, we're going into this neighborhood. Okay, so. Okay.
Don't see the person.
Okay, it did catch the person.
Well, this isn't where I thought. So here's a road with no markings. And it used to want to center in these.
Okay.
And now it does a little better. Maybe not as much as I would, but it does a little cheat to the right. And if cars are coming, it handles that.
Couple of birds.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. It turned on the blinker for this turn here.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't like that snow right there, I don't think. There we go.
The no stop sign, but it did come to a stop too. Okay, it says we're here.
Okay.
We don't know where we are.
Here, I'm just gonna pull up here.
To the side.
It seemed pretty iffy on that last right turn, and I don't know. Is it normally like that, or is it because there was some snow in the road? I wonder if that was. Or
could have been the snow. Could have been. Maybe it didn't see around the corner as well as it wanted to. And so sometimes when it doesn't need to stop, it will anyway, just to get get some certainty. It seems like. Interestingly, sometimes when there's more traffic, it will understand the situation better because it'll see what the other car is doing. It seems like
kind of,
or
almost like learns from the other car.
Well, it gets a cue off the other car of, okay, you stopped at your stop sign, but I don't have one, so I know no one else is going to come that way, so I can go. Or, I'm trying to think of how to best describe it, but it's one of those things, the more you use it, the more you can kind of sense what it's trying to do or what it thinks it's doing.
We'll put it in. I will say one thing, it does go a little fast in these neighborhoods, faster than I would go.
Yeah, I usually bump it down to like 18.
Do you?
Or so in my neighborhood, just because the limit might be 30.
Interesting. I can barely see, so hopefully the car can see this turn. Okay, yeah, did pretty well.
And I do have the beta set to aggressive. I probably should have set that down. Ellie had it in more conservative.
Oh, it's confused here.
So
it thinks this is a turn.
Yep.
This was the same. Let's see, does it see him?
Same joke.
Yeah. I pulled it out there because I didn't know if it saw him or not. So
yeah.
Then I realized down here it did see him, but
yeah, it still doesn't always get, like, I think a human would move further away, just out of curiosity or courtesy, when it sees a person. Where it might be technically safe. Yeah, there's 3 or 4 feet between us, but still, if you have an open road, why not move over further? So a little
Yeah,
confused there
yeah,
in the turn.
this road is kind of confusing it, which I think is what you kind of wanted, right? With something, a few more turns to it. Now this will be interesting because we're coming up on a stop sign and there's no cross. The cross traffic doesn't stop, and it's a busy-ish road.
Okay, so here we'll see, we see the blue wall there where it's going to creep out.
Oh, that's what it's saying. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it handled that.
No traffic.
No traffic, of course, but yeah. And then it went right back up to 30 miles an hour again. It really doesn't like me moving it down. Or is that just a setting up here?
That's just a setting.
I see. Okay.
I tried to bump that down, but I must not have saved it or something. So we are kind of middle-ish of the road now.
Mm-hmm.
But if a car did come, it would scoot over to the right.
Okay. So just something I do as a driver is I try to miss those manhole covers.
Yeah.
What are they called? The sewer covers?
Yeah.
I try to miss those, and this is just like going right after them. How do you feel about that as this being your car?
Doesn't
matter to you?
I don't like it.
Don't like it?
I would also like to miss those. Eventually they say it's going to miss, like, avoid potholes and things.
Okay.
And it does slow down for some speed bumps and things.
Okay.
But it doesn't, like, I would avoid those manhole covers. And I wish it did. Most of them aren't too terrible, but yeah, there are times where it just goes right over a pothole. It's like, oh man, I really wouldn't have done that myself.
Okay. Oh, it looks pretty confused here. Oh, is this because we're here?
Yeah,
we must have put this call this or this cord.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it
says we're here basically.
And trip, yeah.
And trip. Okay. Yeah, I guess what I would say is, and again, it's a setting up here. I would change this setting, especially for a neighborhood. I just feel the car getting up to speed as quickly as it does in a neighborhood. I don't feel comfortable with that. Especially as the person, maybe as the responsible person, who's supposed to intervene. So I would want it to get up to speed, believe it or not, a little more slowly, because you never know if a kid's going to dart out or something like that. Here in the winter, less likely, but in the summer. But I am impressed with how it's handling, like, the snowbanks, which that's hard for a human driver this time of year. Yeah, it's gone along. I mean, the 2 minutes that we had was on a highway. It actually didn't recognize one of the lines in the highway, and the Tesla salesperson had to take it out of drive, just even in the short 2 minutes that we did it. So I can tell it's come a long way since then.
I know this is your first sample with it, but do you see any scenario where you would find this useful at this point, or not?
For me, probably not right now. I can't think of like personally how I would use it, but that might be a lack of imagination on my part.
Yeah, I use it as having Joan in the back seat and being familiar with it enough that I'm comfortable having it drive in some places has been helpful as I've had to reach in the back seat or hand a Kleenex off or unwrap a Happy Meal toy or things like that, where I know I can have a few seconds of mild distraction and it'll be okay. Now, obviously that's in certain situations where I'm comfortable with it, but I also I use it as a direction finder, because I've found using this and using the navigation all the time, I realize, apply some force to the steering wheel.
All right. Oh. So this stopped.
So it's going to creep out.
Yeah, this stopped much farther back than I would have. Oh, and now there's a couple of cars.
So feel free to hit the brake.
Yeah, I think I'm going to. I didn't like how it was creeping out.
Yeah.
And now, of course, we're kind of at a weird spot, but there's no one behind us, so.
Yeah, you're still fine that
Still
way.
okay over there.
Now someone's coming, but you got time.
All right. Still time?
Yeah. You go. Yep. Go ahead and put it back in. So the what I was saying is there's those times when I know I can be a little, it says you're not supposed to be distracted, but like with cruise control or anything, you kind of learn what it's good at.
Mm-hmm.
What it's,
yeah, you can almost anticipate.
Yeah, like, oh, there might be a problem up here. But I've had a lot of friends who don't have it or just test it once, and they're like, why would anybody want this or use this? It's not useful. It really wants to slow down early at this stop sign.
Yeah. This is the same one it did it on the way here,
Yeah.
is that right? Yeah.
I guess it saw, I was just looking at the thing, it looks like there is one back there, or it thinks there's one back there.
Oh, this is interesting. It was drifting, so it's not like in this part of the road right here.
Yeah, it's like there's 2 lanes, but there's 1 lane. But yeah, interesting. And I've found it's kind of my entertainment while driving.
Oh, really?
Now, because I do use it so much, it's
all right. I'm not comfortable with that speed.
Okay. So that's fine.
Taking it out. There's something about the roundabout that I'm not comfortable yet. I would probably need to approach it a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I would, again, suggest with anybody new to it, err on the side of disengagement. If you're not comfortable, take it out early. Maybe it's just not ready for that point, and you need to wait for another software update, and it might handle that situation better, or maybe you'll get more used to it or more comfortable with it on another drive, or bump your slow down. You can do an offset up, but you can also do an offset down on speed.
Okay.
So you can kind of change settings to make that easier too. But what I was saying about the entertainment, there's the piece of it where it finds more efficient routes than I would, because I found I'll take a lot of places through town and a lot of weaving roads, and then I'll plug it into beta and it'll go, why don't you just go here and here? And you're there in 2 minutes instead of 4.
Yeah.
And then the entertainment piece is I'm paying attention, I'm watching, and I'm gauging what do I think it's seeing. If it does a weird slowdown or something, can I figure out why it did that? Is it just a bug? Or, I end up kind of watching it like you'd watch a child driver, but I know I can take control. Like, there's a lot of times where I'm like, nope, we're not doing that. Or, like you were saying with the roundabout, like, no, I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you say that, because that's maybe, obviously this is my first full test drive with this. That's maybe how I feel, is like when my kids were 15 and they got their learner's permit, and I'm sitting in the passenger seat and I'm feeling extremely responsible for everything they do or don't do. Being my first time testing this, I feel a lot of responsibility, almost like when you have a 15-year-old in the car with a learner's permit. And so I felt like it was maybe a little more work as I was trying to make sure the car saw different things. Did it see this person here? Did it see the car behind us earlier? And I'm feeling like I'm doing maybe even more work than I would have if I was just driving myself. But I think a lot of that is more me, right, than the car, because the car obviously has done it before, and so it's
Yeah.
me getting used to. I think you said it. I think you said it best. It's me getting used to what the car does well versus what it maybe doesn't do as well, and coming up with that.
Yeah, I would say I remember
Or
when
the navigation. I guess it's more than the car, but yeah.
I did my first beta drives, it really made me nervous. I mean, the software wasn't as good a year ago by far, but it also, yeah, feeling that responsibility. And then when I did my first beta drive video, I even said in that video, and maybe even titled it, that I don't think this might be my only beta video, because like trying to pay attention to, are the cameras rolling, and all the stuff you have to monitor with beta when I was new to it, it was just pretty overwhelming.
Yeah. How long has the beta been out?
It's been out for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years.
Okay.
And it started with a really small group of people. Well, it started with employees, then a small group of like outside testers. And I got it about a year ago when it could do some stuff, but it was pretty sketchy. And like it would do things like it did out here where it got into the wrong lane, but it would do it like all the time.
Oh,
You'd have to stop it from doing that. And like whether there were cars around or not, it might, just not see something. It was safe if you were vigilant, but it wasn't safe for wide release. And I'm not sure. I think for responsible drivers, it's safe enough that, responsible drivers can handle it pretty well. But like Ellie was saying, like I'd never use this, maybe in a year or so I'd use this, but she just wouldn't. Like you said, maybe it's the more work factor. But like I was saying, I think to me it's kind of become more of it sounds flippant to call it a game, because I am really cautious with it, but I'm going to see how it handles this situation, knowing and being ready to take over, before things go wrong. And so I do enjoy it, but I can definitely see why people would want to wait on it.
Well, and it's interesting because as I was driving, I wasn't even thinking about this, but everyone has different driving habits, and I'm not even sure. I keep calling it the car. It's the FSD, right?
Yeah.
It's making different choices than I would make. So I guess it's almost like if you were driving and I'm sitting there thinking Brian's making different choices than I would make. Normally with humans, I don't think that too often, but I thought that quite a bit this test drive.
That's a really good point too. And I've noticed that between software updates, it'll feel like a different person's driving.
Really?
And that's like my first couple drives on a new software release are kind of that, getting used to like, oh, you go fast out of a corner, or you're going to hang back and be more cautious in this situation than your predecessor, or, whatever. So yeah, it is, some of that is getting used to whoever's driving style this is. It's not mine, and it might not be quite human.
Well, and even the time that we got honked at, I really didn't think we should have gotten honked at. I'll admit. I don't think the car was, because it wasn't. It was an unusual circumstance where there was a car coming toward us, turning right. There was another car in the far lane, and even as a human, and there was a lane that I think most of us would have said, okay, well, we'll take it, and that's what the car behind us probably thought we should have done.
Yep.
But if this was my kid, my kids are older now, but if this was my 15-year-old, driver's permit kid, I probably would not have wanted them to take that turn. So I think even at the time we got honked at, I think the car probably still did the right thing, I guess, for the situation.
Yeah, within the scope of right things you could have done, it was a safe.
Yeah, or maybe it's the safest thing. Maybe instead of the right thing, it was the safest.
Yeah, for a lot of people, and I would say based on the drive we just had, which wasn't great, I will readily admit, I would say for most people who want FSD, unless you're really going to be vigilant, wait 6 months to a year, subscribe to it for a month, see how you like it, and then, by then it should be considerably better.
That's right.
You
They're
know,
doing monthly subscriptions now
yeah.
too, right? Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
or if you're curious about where it is now, subscribe to it for a month, see how you like it, and then maybe discontinue, 4 or 6 months to a year, try it again. Yeah, I don't think it's right for everybody yet, even though I enjoy it. Like, I can see how some people would just be like, it's a waste of my time or waste of energy.
Well, or like I said, it could be a lack of imagination on my part,
Mhm.
right? Maybe I need to spend more time thinking through how I might use something like this, but I haven't.
Yeah.
Outside of you asking me to do this test drive, I haven't given it much thought. And watching some of your videos from like a year ago, I haven't given this much thought. I'm just waiting for the time when the cars all talk to each other.
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling that's happening at some point, that the cars are all going to talk to each other.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean only Tesla. I mean, Tesla, they're all going to talk.
Yeah, I think that'll happen in maybe the next 5 years. That is one thing where Tesla's saying that we were talking about potholes. Like, if a car hits or sees a pothole on this road, it'll tell the other cars behind it, avoid this spot or avoid this stretch of road or whatever. That's not happening yet, but I think
that's impressive.
Long term, that's kind of the goal. So, any final thoughts on it?
No, yeah, thank you. It's just like driving with a 15-year-old again.
My stress level is really high, and
no. Well, I think I mostly let it do its thing, I guess. And I felt comfortable letting it do its thing for the most part. So maybe that's where I'll leave it at, is I felt comfortable letting it do its thing, and the couple times I intervened was maybe later, once I learned what I thought it was going to do was maybe not exactly how I would have done it.
Did you feel that taking over or intervening was difficult or confusing or anything?
Yeah, at first confusing.
Okay.
But difficult, no. I guess just like anything with practice. So after doing it once or twice, then it's like, oh, that's how you take over.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd say the first 1 or 2 times, yeah, but then it was easy.
Yeah, Ellie said most people aren't going to have you in the car to tell you what happened.
That's a really good point.
And that like, because I've been doing it so long, I do remember that time. And like I said, with that first video I did, I was like, this is pretty confusing. And because I didn't have that extra person, I just watched videos and things. And so yeah, maybe there needs to be like an FSD buddy for your first drive or something. Yeah. Bring a friend along once you engage it.
What are some use cases you're hearing for folks? So I know you talked about, if you're, working with Joan in the back, that's a good use case. But
yeah, I have a friend is a strong word. Someone I know through Twitter broke her elbow, and she's out in California where it apparently works considerably better, because that's where all the engineers who built it live. And so, she was able to still drive normally by having that help her. She could still take over with the other arm, but it was a lot easier for her because she just put her destination in and then monitor it with her good arm. I use it like a lot of times if there's just somewhere I'm unfamiliar with. When we've gone on road trips, even to like small town Wisconsin, it's like, I don't know where this place is, and I'll use the navigation, and I'm not sure which road's the right one to turn on. I mean, it shows in the map, but it's easier to just let Beta do
that's
it.
a good point.
And oh, we should turn here. Okay, cool. And then I'm just watching and monitoring to make sure, yes, this makes sense, more than like, oh God. But I mean, there are those moments too, but I'm actually surprised, because I think Ellie had a couple takeovers, but her drive yesterday was pretty good. And I would say these 3 were pretty bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In what way were they bad?
Just the early stopping on the stop signs. I haven't seen that in a while. Coming out of here and pulling out to the wide lane. Like, I can see there again, that's what I'm looking for, is I can see why it did it, but it hasn't been making mistakes like that in a while. The roundabouts, it wasn't as smooth as they have been. I've had some really good roundabouts where it did just the right speed, didn't stop at the yield. That was the old problem, is it would, it was programmed to never just go into one. It would stop, assess the situation, but that's not what you do when you got people behind you. And so now I've had some really good flow through roundabouts. So I was surprised, especially that last time where it was coming in pretty hot.
Pretty hot, yeah. Well, and then even the first one, it was drifting toward the other car.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because it wanted to miss the snowbank on the left. And again, do I think it would have hit it? Probably not.
Right.
But
there's the comfort. That's the comfort of the other driver too. Is you don't want to put other people on edge.
That's exactly. Or like with the guy that we passed by, I didn't think, like, I could see that the car saw him, so I didn't think it was going to hit him. But does he know that?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's for sometimes it's for the comfort of other people. That you want.
Yeah, and I do that in my neighborhood. If people are walking dogs, you want it to be really obvious to them, even though you're going excessively around them.
Yeah.
You want it to be obvious to them that I see you, I'm not going to hit you.
Yeah.
All that.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, like maybe besides the roundabouts, the other things you mentioned didn't, I guess, bother me.
Okay.
I mean, that first turn, like you said, I could see why it did that. Made that wide turn, and if anything, I almost liked that it slowed down at the stop. I mean, now of course, if a car had been behind us, that could have been something different, and there wasn't in both cases. But I kind of liked that it slowed down. But I think I'm at an age right now where I'm driving a little more cautiously than I did when I was younger. You know, so I kind of liked those approaches, I guess. But yeah, it was just the roundabouts are probably the two that I felt least comfortable, maybe, in the whole thing.
Yeah, it's very interesting because also when I drive with Ellie yesterday and you today, I'm kind of seeing it not as the thing I'm used to.
Oh, with new eyes.
I did use it all the way over here, but I actually don't know. I may have taken it out once, but I don't know because it's just it's a non-event for me.
Yeah.
You just kind of do it and go, oh, that was weird. Put it back in. And no, I really appreciate that because like I said, I have a thought of where I think it is and how people would use it, but that's because I use it. And I get frustrated when I watch some people's videos who are new to it, and they're like, why would anyone use this? This is terrible. It's useless. I'm like, I use it every day. It's great. It's not. It needs work, definitely. But
well, this is a good idea then for a video to have three of us, try it out and get perspectives.
Like you were asking, why do I use it? Basically, I can't really put my finger on it other than, it's kind of entertaining to use it. It can also be frustrating. Like if I'm in a hurry, if I've got Joan and we're late for an appointment, I'm not going to put it in. It's like, no, I'm driving. But I found that the times I don't use it are when I'm driving. I need to drive less safely. And that's when I don't use it.
Yeah.
And that when I had that realization, it was kind of a like, oh, that probably means I should use it more because, taking a little more time around intersections and, as long as you're not holding people up is probably a more safe way to go. But if I need to, get through this yellow light, or I need to take this turn fast or something, that's where I'm not using it. So I can't put my finger on why I like using it so much. But when I don't have it, like there have been times where there's just a glitch in one of the software releases where the side cameras wouldn't come up. So you'd get this, but not these. These weren't initializing. And for like 2 or 3 days, I couldn't use it. And it was so annoying to have to drive everywhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. And it's really hard to communicate like why it was so annoying. But I do use it even to,
So it's like a convenience thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the way it behaves, you wouldn't necessarily think it's a convenience thing.
Well, but using the kid analogy though, or driving with another person, using that analogy though, you get used to how the other person drives, and so you get used to how the style that the car drives. Yeah, getting used to it, and so it just becomes like, oh, that's how we're driving today,
Yeah,
and because you bought this, like, you bought it outright, right? You're not doing it month to month,
right?
And you also got you got in on the better.
Yeah, it was
before prices went up.
$7,000, so it was very expensive.
And it
But
doesn't
now it's
transfer.
15.
It's only
Yeah.
as long as you own it.
As of now, it doesn't transfer.
Wow.
So if I total the car, it's gone. Had they had the subscription at the time, I would have done that. But we did get it for cheaper. And, long term, I've done a video about this, about, the motorcycle accident. If that car or the motorcycle would have had, either of those would have had this system, 99% chance that wouldn't have happened. Even like a year ago, that situation probably wouldn't have happened.
That was a powerful video.
And then I look forward to, obviously it still needs considerable work, but being part of the training for it, or at least, helping feed the machine data or whatever, might give Joan opportunities that she wouldn't have, or other people with disabilities, to be able to put her in a car and let her go where she wants to go and then come back. There's some other abilities that need to develop there too, but that's kind of my hope, is one day she would have a level of independence she would never have had in the past.
I think that's a great use case, as well as I think the folks who are hoping to use this for like Ubers and things like that too, where it could just you could just send the car out, when you're not using it, and it can drive other people. But I don't think it's there yet. Especially if you need to have someone here.
Right.
Huge thanks to GJ for taking time on New Year's Day morning to come and take this FSD drive for us. And really interesting to see his perspective. Unfortunately, it didn't behave quite as well as it had for Ellen the day before. But I'm glad he was very comfortable taking over whenever he was uncomfortable, because that is good beta testing, having it drive how you would drive, and if it's not doing those things, take over and be safe. And in that vein, with this drive, Ellie's drive, and some comments we got on the other video, I want to let you know that I'm going to be recording a video about how to coach beta and best practices for being a tester safely and getting the most enjoyment out of it as it progresses. And like I said, I'll be recording that soon, so if you have any questions, or if you're a beta tester and you have other suggestions you want to share, be sure to put those in the comments below so I can incorporate those into that coaching video. After all, we all want safe roads and to be good stewards of this technology as it progresses. And if you're wondering why I'm so interested in the advancement of full self-driving and advanced driver assistance systems, take a look at this video I made last year about the case for FSD from my standpoint, after having been in an accident where FSD could have easily prevented it, even at this early stage. So if you haven't seen that, take a look. Maybe it'll change your perspective on whether this is a worthwhile endeavor at all or not. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Again, thanks to GJ. I'll catch you in the next one. See you later. Happy road tripping.